So, some time ago, I made a video, and in that video, I stated how every revolution, every fight for rights in any way, shape, or form that we have today was either carried out or heavily influenced by Black women. And as you can probably imagine, my fellow snowflakes were mad. Mad because allegedly, I'm not saying this, okay? This is what I was told. I'm giving credit to Black women where they do not deserve any credit because they had nothing to do with it. Now, I felt it within me to kind of give you some enlightenment, okay? Because 1-on-1 is still at the end of the day fucking 2. Even if you want it to be 17, it will remain 2, no matter what the fuck you would do about it, okay? So, and the fact that I was accused of giving credit where credit is not due is beyond wild. Because y'all will not even give credit when it's due. So how the fuck do you think you're in a position of telling me I'm giving credit where it's not due? Because even when it's due, you do not give it. Okay, let's even start from there. That being said, it is not just the matter of a Black woman will stand up and say, hey, I think we should all be able to open a bank account. We should all be able to get a divorce without literally having to fear for our lives, even though femicides are still on an all-time high, but that's a different topic. It's not even about the plain fact that the face of a revolution might not be a Black woman circumstantially, because one, again, systemically, Black women have never been gotten any credit for anything they have ever achieved for our rights we have today. So that's not even uncommon, right? And for us to understand that, we need to go back a little bit in time, because during the times of colonialism and slavery, and that also ties heavily together with inventions and the contribution of the Black nation to human development globally, right? Because people are always like, oh, anything that we've ever developed came from white people. Oh, white people did this. Do you know, first and foremost, literally every invention that happened during the times where Black people were legally not even classified as human beings, they can invent something and the credit goes to their fucking slave master. First and foremost, white people have always been dense. Okay? Like, let's not... You be talking about as if every white person is Einstein, when every white person is closer to being a Neanderthal than being Einstein, okay? So let's not historically give white people general credit just because a few white people contributed something to the development of mankind globally, because at the end of the day, if we are putting it on a global scale, humanity was Black everywhere at any given time before something else even happened, okay? Now I get it. Clearly, there are great people in human history that were inventors, that contributed intelligence, that contributed inventions to mankind globally, and many of them were white, no doubt. However, many of them were also whitewashed. Okay, that's one. Secondly, one big example of that, one of the biggest example of that being ancient Egypt. Literally, the civilization generally has been flourishing in Egypt, but because Egypt was so great, Egypt was whitewashed and is still being whitewashed forever. Okay, so, and that's one point, because at the end of the day, literally, Black people came to Europe and taught white people basic manners, meaning how to wash our fucking ass crack, because in Europe we were taking annual baths, and on top of that, sharing the bath water from the oldest first to the youngest last. You do the maths about the breeding and creation of diseases that we inhabit, but I'm not here to judge that. Europeans sent scholars to, for example, Timbuktu to learn from Black people, because Timbuktu was one of the best examples of democracy as we know it, or as we define it today, because Timbuktu literally had people of all ethnicities, all social standards, social hierarchies united in one city. The knowledge in Timbuktu was absolutely insane. Scholars from all over the world came to be taught and be lectured in Timbuktu. That's fact, that's not debatable. The same with ancient Egypt, by the way. Both of these countries are African countries, and the time is so long ago that we fucking know that this could have never ever been white people. So let's not continue feeding into that narrative that white is the standard of intelligence, when it literally is not. It is factually not. White people in Europe have been getting, in many cases, stealing knowledge and resources from Africans and the African continent ever since the beginning of time. Like, okay? Now back to what I was saying earlier. During the times of slavery and colonialism, Black people invented things, many things. You can literally look that up yourself, but the credit did not go to them because they were legally not classified as human beings. They were classified as property. If your property invents something, clearly who does the credit go to? The owner. That's common fucking sense. So the invention in masses as we know it today, so many of them do not deserve the credit they were given because they never did shit. They took the credit from their then property. And if that is not bad enough, I don't fucking know what is. Now to the topic I said in the beginning, why give Black women credit for any revolution? Any revolution you can definitely and 100% contribute, even if it's not the ruling factor in that sense, to Black women. Why? Because Black women spoke up, stood up, and fought for their rights when they literally had no chances, even when the chance of survival was against zero. They still did. And with that came an enormous encouragement to the remaining population of certain countries. For example, let's use a very, very common or current example of the movie 6888. Is on Netflix if you want to watch it. Man, fucking trigger warning, that movie is nothing. It's not, okay, just watch the trailer if you want to, but watch at your own risk. The 6888 was a battalion of 850 Black women that were given a task to contribute mail to soldiers. Now, you may think, oh, that's nothing. Like I said, go and watch the movie. They were not only heavily underestimated, they were racially profiled. They were treated like shit. To an extent, they were brought to an accommodation that wasn't even worth staying there. It was fucking disgusting. It was the dehumanization and demonization of Black people was at an all-time high. Still, these women stood up, fought their way up. They fought their way up to an extent that they were later saluted by their higher up white generals because nobody thought that they could ever do it. They went down in history as the only people that did what they did. Not only that they did it in less than 6 months, also this was deemed to be an impossible task. This task was claimed or was labeled as it is not possible. Let's just send these Black women there. We know they are going to fail. Lo and behold, they did not. What was the outcome of that? An enormous encouragement for other Black people to step into positions or situations that they would have not dared before, because this representation of 850 Black women that were literally deemed to fail from the beginning gave them encouragement. That encouragement did not just stop because you're not Black. This encouragement was like a fire that lit up the encouragement in other people. They were like, if they can do it, even though they were told they cannot, so can I. That is why every revolution in human history is heavily influenced by the encouragement and strength and outspokenness and fierceless strength by Black women, because Black women are the most underestimated, the most hated group in human history. Still, they have fought for all our rights, despite the fact that nobody has fought for their rights. With nobody, I mean nobody non-Black, clearly. So even if the face of a revolution, let me use the Arabic Spring in North Africa, is not that of a Black woman, the spirit of encouragement is being led back and traced back to Black women, because Black women have been revolutionaries ever since, okay? Despite the circumstances, despite what they have gone through, they have always stood up for everyone when everybody failed Black women, and we continue to fail Black women. That is why you cannot name a revolution as the spirit of a revolution without giving credit to Black women, even if Black women are not the face of that revolution. And if you have any problem with that, you're just a fucking racist. That's really that simple. That spirit, by the way, goes back all the way to ancient African times. Even those groups that were defeated, for example, in today's Ethiopia, were led by Black women. One of the strongest soldiers in the world are Black women. And that's non-debatable. So every revolution, every spirit of revolution, every spirit of resistance is inflamed by Black women and their fierceless encouragement. That's